Last year, the American Library Association elected Emily Drabinski, a self-described Marxist lesbian, president of the ALA. At the recent Socialism 2023 conference in Chicago, Drabinski asked attendees to turn public schools and libraries into centers of radical agitation and use them for, quote, socialist organizing. On one of the panels at the conference, there was a call for an alliance between pro-abortion activists and transgender forces to fight against Christians. This is just part of the ideological revolution we're witnessing in America. Our cultural institutions have been hijacked by God-hating radicals. Parents, you now have to be aware of the fact public schools and libraries have been victims of a Marxist takeover. I'm David Fiorazo, and this is Christ and Culture. Writer Karlin Borisenko went undercover at the largest socialist conference in the country, where she caught ALA President Emily Drabinski saying explicitly that libraries and public schools need to be sites of socialist organizing. Drabinski said when she was around 14, she first began to identify as a lesbian after reading a library book about two women having, quote, fantastic queer sex in a field, end quote. A library book. For the record, the ALA publicly attempted to distance itself from Drabinski's statements, saying in their statement that the ALA does not align with, endorse, or promote the political beliefs, values, or ideologies of any one individual, including its elected leaders, end quote. So why elect a radical to head up the American Library Association? Liberty Sentinel and Freedom Project's Alex Newman has been exposing leftist agendas for decades. He writes that the latest ALA boss has become, quote, notorious for hating parents, families, Christians, and anyone else who stands in the way of indoctrinating children. Alex responded to these reports out of the Socialist Conference on the Newman Report. Watch.
Taxpayer funding is being weaponized here, and it's being weaponized to foment a revolution against us, the people paying for this, the people footing the bill for this kind of dangerous extremism. It's time for the library systems to leave the ALA, and it's time for the government to stop turning our children into Marxists and revolutionaries using these government schools. The system needs to be shut down.
Shut them down. I agree. The future of our country is on the line, as he also said later, and this is just one of the symptoms of a much deeper issue of moral and spiritual decay. Now, it doesn't help matters that fewer American citizens seem to be paying attention and speaking up as the radicals have grown bolder and louder. At the conference, by the way, American Library Association President Emily Drabinski spoke on a panel that discussed how teachers could instruct children on critical race theory, even in school districts that have banned it. The Democrat Socialists of America, DSA, supported the Chicago conference, of course, which also featured panels on the best practices for developing socialist programming for kids, abolishing police, and keeping U.S. borders open. Just like faithful radicals, the conference advocated for abolishing the family, replacing mothers and fathers with collective parenting, and forming a movement to protect children's right to engage in prostitution. You heard that right. Other panels at the Socialist Conference included the following: kids as comrades, abortion, race, and the 1%, sex work, policing, and border abolition, Lenin, catastrophe and revolution, longer road to a Green New Deal, and many, many more. Talk about fundamentally transforming the United States of America. By the way, when Barack Obama said that the Democrats were in the process of doing just that in 2008, few people took him seriously. Now we see some of the fruit. But education has been part of this plan all along. Apparently, some of the sessions were not live streamed while others were. This was on purpose so the socialist organizers could speak more freely. Now, more states should follow the example of the Montana State Library Commission, which recently called the ALA's, quote, far left-leaning ideologies and its conflict with the Constitution, which, by the way, forbids association with an organization led by a Marxist, the ALA. But the Montana State Library Commission explained in its decision to cut ties with the far left, saying these agendas have no place in our public schools and libraries. They rightly declared the American Library Association, quote, has not only turned its back on families, parental rights, and American values, it has turned its back on America itself. I agree. State by state, friends. By the way, Borisenko was banned from the conference, so she was there incognito, writing, and using a different name. And in another one of her posts, she exposed another radical. Check this out. Quote, meet Dr. Mary Bowman. Mary is an assistant professor of nursing at DePaul University and a speaker at the Socialism 2023 conference. And Mary wants to destroy the nuclear biological family through sexual liberation and queer relationships. They're not hiding it anymore, friends. Universities have been pumping out Marxists, socialists, and social justice activists for decades. And we've been trying to warn about this. And now we're seeing more of the rotten, disgusting results. For example, Joy Pullman at The Federalist wrote that in 2022, last year, the annual American Library Association conference was attended by over 21,000 people. It featured workshops on drag queens and queering elementary schools. Libraries learned how to push agendas and to sidestep objections to the drag queen story hour. One workshop was titled Creating Queer Inclusive Elementary School Library Programming. Elementary school, ages 5 through 10. Let that sink in. This and more, with the help of American tax dollars, of course. Now, at the Washington Stand, Ben Johnson writes that Drabinski promotes the subversion of, quote, normal family types, and that before she was elected ALA president, she announced her plan to use the position to, quote, build collective power for the public good. She promised at the time, as ALA president, I will direct resources and opportunities to a diverse cross-section of the association, by the way, dispersing $56 million in revenue, quote, on the basis of race, gender, sexuality, national origin, spoken language, and disability, end quote. It's no wonder Drabinski gained the endorsement of education radical herself, Randi Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, and a close Biden ally, of course, who Weingarten proudly boasted, quote, Emily Drabinski knows how to organize and mobilize, right, with the closed communist clenched fist. Now, at this point, come on, parents should no longer be surprised when their son or daughter comes home from high school or college radicalized, having an anti-Christian and even a Marxist worldview. We've been warned. God bless you, and keep speaking the truth about things that matter.